Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, an inspired conversation space between Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner on the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness.
We keep our conversations honest, our experiences real, and our philosophies exploratory. We believe that in order to raise incredible humans, we first have to raise ourselves. We know that in order to rock the family, you've got to nourish the mother. If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively, head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper. And for all live-streamed pre-release podcasts and all our free content, head over to our free Facebook group, Nourishing the Mother with Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner. We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we are so grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is There is a Way to Create Spaciousness That Feels Good.
Oh, I love this topic. Gosh, I think you and I have been around the block on this so many times that I feel like we have it, relatively I don't want to say nailed, but we really have a practice at this. And we thought, what would be so good to kick off the start of the year with, I think, right? Because we're heading into school starting, we're heading into all the routines starting, we're getting into the yearly rhythm. And sometimes if we're not careful, prioritizing our own toolkit practices that help us create that spaciousness can sometimes just be an afterthought when we hit resentment.
Yeah, 100%. Do you know what I loved about what you just said then? Because I was like, yeah, man, that is constantly such a reminder, and something that I'm talking to clients about all the time is that it's a practice. This is a skill that you can learn and you can get better at, like any skill.
Yeah.
This is not, I'm born with it, I had the imprint with it, or I'm not born with it, I didn't have the imprint with it. This is not something that you naturally are gifted or not gifted with. Yeah. This is literally just something you learn and something you get better at when you practice it.
Yeah. And of course, then when you don't practice it, you get a bit wobbly. So then what's your practice to get back on track?
Yeah.
But I love it that you pointed out, be mindful of taking that kind of reductionist view that says, well, I can only have that or do that if I've got this pattern, that I can easily follow, right? Yes, sometimes it takes more stretching and more work when you don't have a healthier imprint on how to prioritize yourself, but it's not in the realm of impossible at all.
No, and just that whole self-minimizing thing that can happen that's like, oh, well, Bridget can do that so easily and I can't do it, so therefore I can't do it. As opposed to the collapse or the self-minimization or the just snipping off of the branches of your potential future is just taking a moment to go, yeah, Bridget is fucking masterful at it. That's why she's teaching it. You don't want to learn from someone who's not a master. What the fuck would be the point in that? You go to the person who is masterful at the skill, because then you get to absorb mastery and build that potentially quicker, right? Because it's kind of like a biohack when we go to the master. We don't have to navigate ourselves.
It plays on that rule that you become what you most surround yourself with, right? So if you want to elevate an area of your life, then surround yourself with, or put yourself in front of or next to, or whatever that is for you, around somebody who embodies, as best they can, being in a human form, the thing that you want.
Yeah, the thing you want to become, the thing you want to emulate, the belief system you'd like to borrow, insert, plug into. Definitely. So there's that. And also there's, she's a master at it because of how many hours. It's the 10,000 hours thing to make an expert, right? How many hours has Bridget spent learning and practicing this skill to become masterful? Probably a shit ton more than you have right now. And that's okay. But that's why. Like, you don't look at the light that is Bridget and go, oh, I can't be that. You look at it and go, fuck me, that is a lifetime of devotion and service to learning something to be masterful at it. I can respect that. And I can allow myself to be pulled towards that light at just like I would go through uni. I don't expect to be a fully qualified graduate in the first year that I begin.
Mm. Yeah.
So I just really think we can't hear that stuff enough, as opposed to the comparison that we're so trained to do as women.
Yeah, and to really notice your patterns of collapse, right? Because we'll all have them, and we'll all have our just perfect little cocktail of thing that we will collapse over, and to just notice it and go, oh, I'm going here again.
Yeah.
Hello. Gentle parts of me that really struggle to be carried across this threshold I'm asking myself to go through. I love you, and this is where we're going. Yeah. And I'm not going to, allow that collapse right here. I'm going to edge you that little bit further along so that I have a little bit more resourcing.
Yeah. Yeah. And one day I want to be able to do it like Bridget does. Cool. Like, it just gets to be beautiful, right?
Yeah, thanks. It's true. And I love this reminder for any area of life, right? Any area.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Just apply it to here.
Yeah, apply it to here. It's like, I love that. There's this quote I remember reading it sometime, and it always comes into my mind. Like, I want the space between where I am and where I want to be to inspire me.
Yeah.
Not collapse me.
Yeah, it's the gap. If you haven't read that book, it's worth reading, right?
How can I just be pulled towards that with this sense of yes, it's there for me, and not, oh my God, I'm never going to make it. And the journey is painful and agonizing and full of self-flagellation, all of those things, right?
All of those things. So let's begin. So we have 3 points that we really would love to just offer up to you as a way for you to open up to the fact that there is a way for you to create spaciousness, and you can and you get to feel good along that process and in that process. So here's your 3 points. We're going to begin with number 1. Number 1, value your needs as much as your child's.
Yes. So this is really, really important. So the number 1 creator of resentment in mothers is all the times in which we put our child's needs above our own in service, to the point where it becomes servitude, right? So I will just pour everything, even beyond what I have, even beyond the size that I notice my body's giving me, to tell me, okay, can you give more right now, or can you pull back? We override that. Right? So valuing your needs as much as your child's, not just so that you can give from an overflowing cup, right? Because that's a lot of what the stuffs out there says, give to yourself so that it all overflows to your children. What about valuing you because you deserve to be valued just as much as your child, right? Just because.
And how radical is that?
Hugely radical when we consider all of the ways, I think, in which we're socialized to just give of everything and are celebrated for doing that.
Right. Yeah.
It's another myth, right? She just has endless bounds of energy and service to give, and prioritizes her children's needs well above her own.
Yeah.
And is so happy to do it. And is so calm all of the time. It's a fantasy. So to value your needs as much as your child's means to check in with yourself. And, if that child, I think it depends on, there's a certain ages, right? So if you are in the newborn phase, there is a centering of that baby that is required of you, that is going to ask you to give more than you thought you had, to go beyond what you think you can do. And that's part of the becoming of a mother. That's part of the stretching of your window of tolerance. That's part of you finding more of yourself in order to be of service to this child. That's part of that transition. And arguably that's probably part of every major transition that we go through, the mother of the toddler who has to find more of herself for the toddler. But she can do that alongside knowing what it is she needs. So if she needs the long shower, if she really values good, nourishing food cooked for her, she knows how to ask for it. She knows how to value herself enough to ask for it and not apologize for the asking.
Yeah. Not apologize.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And be filled by that thing. Like, so remove any sense of guilt or shame for needing or wanting that, so she can be fully filled by that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if it's almost like if you're thinking about the food you're eating and you're full of anxiety about how it's given to you or what's in the food, then you don't absorb the full nutrient potential of the food.
Totes.
It's the same thing about whatever you're receiving.
It 100% is. I just love how you spelt that out. It's beautiful. So we're asking you to stretch open your window of tolerance, what you perceive you're allowed, the permission that you perceive that you have, to just really see that you get to have the way that you value and prioritize your child. You can also offer that same beautiful mothering energy to yourself.
And I would also say too that if you're struggling to offer mother energy, like mothering energy to your child, that's a symptom of where you're not offering that mothering energy to yourself. So where you are not honoring your needs. So if I'm rigid, like parts of me are like resenting like all the things my kids want or seem to need, then okay, mirror, where am I first not giving those things to myself? Where am I not taking a moment to rub moisturizer on my body so that I remember how good it feels, and that I would love to give my child a massage after their bath, or I would love to linger a little bit longer running my fingers along their back because it just feels so delicious, because I've remembered what that feels like. I haven't forgotten what it's like to be in this body and receive pleasure in this body like I want my child to feel like they deserve, right?
Totally. Yeah, 100%. This podcast is brought to you by what we have going on in the world that you can jump in on. And Bridgie, what's there for you?
What's coming up in my world is the Reimagining Motherhood mentorship. So that's a 3-month immersion to inspire your mothering, create space and intention for your own desires and growth in your parenting, relationship or business, and move forward beyond what feels in the way. Find out more about that at bridgetwood.life. And you, Jules?
You can grab my sexy Christmas date. So what you get is an easy to follow sexy and sensual couples date that comes with a 20-minute guided tantric date workshop video that you get to follow along, press play and follow along. You can gift your partner a special experience or gift each other. Comes with a downloadable PDF guide and a whole heap of sexy playlists. And you can find out more about that at julietenner.love/sexy Christmas. Number 2 is don't ignore what lights you up.
So over time, I think as mothers, particularly if you're really dedicated to your, parenting and your family, is there can be a voice that can creep in that sort of says, oh no, like later. Oh, like, no, they need me right now. Oh, yeah. If they go to bed early enough, I can do that. And what happens is if you do that over and over and over again, you kind of like shield or like kind of cap that part of you, that spirit in you that throbs above and beyond like this family, this time, this moment, right? That carries you with inspiration, that is filled with infinite energy, with all those things. If we dampen that or don't make time for that, then it's like it kind of gets a bit weakened. And so I think it's really about if you feel like that pop of pleasure, that pop of like, oh gosh, I'd love to do that, or oh, I really love this, or know that makes me feel good, then follow that. Allow that to burn inside you long enough for you to create possibility with that thing.
I love that. I just love that you said it, because that's also something that breaks and wakes my heart too when I look at women and the women that I work with. So I was just really feeling it, going, yeah, I so feel that, because you're right. The more that we, like, even neurologically associate pop of inspiration and instantly we cap it and shrink it, that's the trained nervous system response, right? So the feeling state that you're training is away from your own intrinsic desires. So at some point you continue to do that. At some point you numb out and you no longer know what lights you up. You no longer know who you are or where you're going or what you offer to the world or what your value or service is in the world, because you have linked and trained your body and psychology to be like, pop.
Yeah, I can't have that. No, no time.
No. And you kind of deaden it and it becomes a bit numb.
Yeah.
So I just think it's interesting to watch how we're trainable our human form is and what we're training it into.
Oh my God, I love it. Love the way you articulate it, because we are so trainable and we are so.
Yes, we forget this. We're not just soul that's like purpose in the world.
Yeah, we are so, and if we know how to attune to that and give ourselves permission to feel that, like we open up so much
right
to ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
And if, like, circling back to, so many mothers' struggles is, if you won't do it for you, do it for the blueprint it gives your kids, right? Because they're looking for the twinkle in your eye. They're looking for the blueprint of like following what lights you up.
Yeah.
So like, and I often like find it funny when my kids will say, they'll continually repeat like this same joke that they know I've laughed at before, because they want to see me like that again. Yeah. They want to see me in that energy again. So like the younger the kids are more hilarious because you can see them doing this. They want to recreate what it feels like to be in that energy with you.
Yeah.
What if you being in that energy that lights you up gets to feed everybody? Yeah. It's bullshit that we perceive it takes away from them.
Yeah, it totally is. Yeah, it totally is.
It's just our socialization as mothers, which lives under this ridiculously like repressed model, right?
Yeah, no, it is. And I would say to you, the other piece that I would add in here that I see crop up in mothers' mindsets often is the conversation around capacity. Now, I know that you and I have had this conversation so many times throughout the podcast, and I'm going to say it to you again here, is capacity is a bullshit concept.
Because capacity can actually change on a dime with your perceptions.
Yeah, I mean, no, we're not on video. You can't see me like using my hands as I'm responding to Bridget. But it's like, unless you're in our free Facebook group where you get the pre-records and it's video, then you can see us. In which case, if you're not, come on in. Just look up Bridget and Julie Nourishing the Mother and you'll see it in Facebook groups. Yeah. What was I saying? Yes, because capacity is a fucking bullshit conversation. And I'm going to tell you why I feel so passionate about that, because it was on repeat, a cycle pattern in spaces of conscious parenting.
Yeah, actually, that's true. It is. It has been.
Yeah, because you can't, I only have this much capacity. I'm already full. There's nothing left. I'm going to have to wait until this season phase is over because I'm like peaking where I'm at. I don't think I could work and be the mother that I want to be. There's this capacity with how much I can do. And I'm like, you have forgotten that you are an infinite being connected to infinite source energy. When you tap into it, you have forgotten that piece. Yeah. It's almost like you've disconnected who you truly are beyond a human form in that statement. You have forgotten it.
It's only the socialization that reinforces that. Right?
Yes.
Whatever you read that says burnt out mother and like overwhelmed and all of it, and then you internalize that as a reality, as a lived experience. Right.
And so I often will say to women over and over is, you feel like you're peaking, but if you feel like this is it, I'm in overwhelm, I can't do any more, but there's this joy, this inspiration, this thing that I would love to do, I just can't do it right now, is to go, you have forgotten that you perceive in your mind, it's more for you to do. It's more on your load. It's more on your back. It's more you've got to find time for. It's more you've got to figure out with your kids. But doing that, dipping your toe in that pool of inspiration and source energy fucking changes the game. It changes capacity, completely blows it out of the water.
You and I had lots of conversations around this when you found out you were pregnant with Gwen.
Yeah.
And like there was a lot of that like fucking like imploding initially.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
It was a capacity piece, and then until like there was that, oh no, like the work that you're talking about, right? Yeah. Like we can see this can be life-giving and stretching and expanding, and like I get to step into more of myself as actually not like curtailing me.
Yeah. But take any point in your life, right? You think you're full with one kid, and then you have two, and it's like, boom, like love doubles, so does capacity. Just almost instantaneously, you can do more shit than you thought that you ever could have. And then you're a mum of 3 or 4 kids, and you look back on the mum that you were with one kid, and you're like, how the fuck did I think I was full?
Yeah. And
because
I think
it's relative.
And this cycles back to that point around like knowing what it is that lights you up. Because if you get to that feeling of capacity, and then you know, I know what to give myself to remind myself of my infinite, like ability to with
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Then
I have no capacity.
Yeah, like because my hack for that is at the end of a day, if it's in summer, I go down for a swim just by myself. It's like the most nourishing thing for me. And I come back like it's like 9 o'clock. My kids are up for movie night. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go down the street and buy you ice cream. Like I just have like endless bounds of, spaciousness, because I've listened to the thing that I know reminds me who I am, reminds me of the, infinite possibility that I have to tap into at any moment. Which my human self often forgets, but I know what it means to take myself back there.
Totally. Right. So I just want you to remember that even though it seems like another thing for you to do, if it's giving you energy, it changes everything. So just don't buy into capacity. It's not a thing. All right. Step number 3 is vision board your perfection.
Yeah. So have something, whether you can play with this, right? Like, so look for things that represent where you would love to be and what you would love to feel in your mothering and in your family, that you can visually come back to when you feel wobbly, when you feel like you're being pulled into a hole or you're about to collapse. Have anchors like a vision board that helps you see, yes, like that's where I'm going. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm staying with this discomfort. That's why I'm not making, rash judgments about who my child is or who my partner is. I'm remembering what I'm doing this for.
Actually, do you know what's just popped into my head on this? I'm just going to pin it under here as a vision board. Is there's 2 ways that your life will offer you this tap into your end goal. One is you're really consciously working on manifesting, which is when you have a vision goal. Yes, it is a vision goal. Vision board, clear picture in your head of where you want to end up and what that will feel like. How you will feel as a mother, how you will feel as a lover, how you will feel in your home, how you will feel when you pick your kids up, how you will your vision have pictures on it that make you feel as you want to end up feeling.
Yes.
Yes, that. And, you check back into it. If you want to have a traveling one, create a, Pinterest board that you can even make secrets so no one else can see it. Like you can just tap back into it, tap back in. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh yeah, how can I feel like that? Oh yeah, how can I line to that right now? So have reminders around your home. I have reminders around my home all the time. I have family photos, and every single photo that's up is a memory that very specifically for me is pinging on an emotional chord. Nothing in my home is random. It's precious. Space is too precious for me to just fill it with cluttered shit. Yes. Everything that's in my house, even though it looks like it's random, is very precisely, I am continuously reminding myself of who I am and where I'm going and why. So I only have photos that remind me of a moment, that reminds me of a why, and I can instantly put myself in that moment by looking at that photo. Well, guess what? Now my body's flooded with that feeling. I'm already saying to the universe, this way, please.
Yes. And
law of attraction takes me there.
And this is also to that point of like energy is infinite when you know the source, right? So
yeah.
Such a high value, what you've done is you have created, and I've done this too with my photo wall when I walk in, and this is also too, you want to create space that allows you to have an unrestricted tap into that. Like, so I have a sideboard underneath my photo wall that everybody knows must be clear except for a vase of flowers. Nothing else allowed on it, because I visually want that one space in my home to be sacred exactly the way that I like it, so that it becomes that pathway for me to remind myself.
So beautiful.
And that place that says, even if I'm feeling overwhelmed, because my nervous system does get overwhelmed by noise or by clutter, that I can go there. And it's almost like my altar, right? Like my unofficial altar to what I'm creating, to what I'm appreciating.
Love it.
So, you know, and I say this to women as well, like, you know, can you create something that's just your own?
Yes, that's a sacred space for you.
Yeah.
I love it. It's such a beautiful reminder. 100%.
Because
gorgeous.
it becomes that thing outside of you that resources you.
Yeah. So what we're trying to offer to you here is think outside of the box for your vision board.
Yeah.
You can do a classic cut out the magazines and stick them on a board and in your wardrobe or whatever. Of course you can do that. But also extend it out into your life. Have it so it's easy for you to tap into. So there's the inspiration version of vision boarding, what your ideal perfection is, because you can't just say I want to be successful or fulfilled, because that will mean something completely different to each of us. Be very clear on what that is for you. The other way that I want to just pin here and offer to you is, so life, you can do it that way. Yes, thank you very much. Also is what we might put in inverted commas, toxic people, shit that riles us up, that breaks our heart, that makes us angry. They are also equal walking vision boards saying to you, remember your why.
Yeah. Yeah, because that can be a powerful warning to you.
Right.
Help steer you.
I'm sitting in the park and I'm feeling jarred by the way that another mother is responding to her child. I don't sit there judging her. I don't sit there collapsed in the calamity that it is for that child.
Yes.
I sit there and relax back in my heart and remember that this is paining me for a reason. What breaks your heart and wakes your heart is incredibly purposeful. So I remember, thank you for this little reminder on my why. Why does this break my heart? What does it inspire me towards? Why? I can love that human. I can love that. I can send them an energetic love bubble, and I can remember that the path they're walking is also perfect for them.
Yeah.
Thank you for that reminder along the way for me.
It becomes, rather than you needing to fix that or, somehow cast your value judgment on it, you use it for yourself to remind you of your unique path.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not jarred in that moment so I can cast some shade on another mother. Fuck no. I can love her wholly and completely because I know she's doing the best she can do with the tools she has in that moment. Fucking amen. I know how hard that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if that's the best she can do, what's happened to her and where has she come from, I can have deep compassion for that.
Yeah.
And, I'm a child of trauma and I think I'm pretty fucking awesome. So I'm like, you go, kid. It'll be amazing.
How do you know that kid's not going to use that in some way?
Right, because it can actually go either way.
Yeah.
Right. And at the same time, I'm bringing deep, heart lighting up, going, wow, you're really having some feelings here. That's so important. How beautiful. Have you been feeling wobbly and shaky on your why? Have you perhaps let some of your values or standards on parenting slip in the last few days? Well, isn't this a beautiful nudge in the right direction? Just remember that your life is continuously in conversation with you.
I always love this. This is such a good reminder too. I love going to a hairdresser or some public place where I'm privy to the conversations around me, because I always know there's no accidents to the conversations that I overhear. So I'm always oh, what's this here for? I just take something from that and just find it so fascinating that I'm placed in time and space with that happening around me and how it's purposeful.
Because entanglement is so in such perfection. Yeah, totally. So vision board your perfection so you know exactly where you're headed, as opposed to really just your ship's somehow navigating in the dark and you have no idea where you're going. So don't scattergun your approach. Be really clear on where you're heading and use life to remind yourself of your why, because it certainly creates more inspiration and therefore capacity.
That's probably what we didn't reinforce, but it is so true that inspiration creates capacity.
Yeah.
Right? Capacity is not this thing in and of itself that you have or don't have. It is intimately linked to the level of inspiration that you are tapped into, which is essentially the level at which you're allowing yourself to listen to who you really are. and what really lights you up.
Totally. So if you're ready to go deeper, you can jump in with Bridget at an inn.
Yes, at an inn. Yes, the Reimagining Motherhood Mentorship. So this is my once a year intimate offering. So it goes for 3 months and it's an immersion. It begins on the 19th of Feb. And there is a one-to-one and group component of this program. And it really is designed to help you implement, practice, tussle with, become embodied in what it is that we've essentially, and so much more, touched on in this podcast around inspiring your motherhood, around tapping into that creation of capacity, around feeling pulled by something much greater than you that helps you not get stuck in Groundhog Day, that helps you feel and fully, like, you know, encode, I guess, those beautiful mothering moments that you know that you want to bottle. Yeah. As well as grow yourself alongside mothering, you know, that you're not just a mother, right? You're so much more than that.
Yeah.
And how you create room for that possibility.
Yeah, exactly.
So find out more about that at bridgetwood.life.
Beautiful. And if you are interested in really sinking into embodied, powerful facilitation and coaching alongside the running of women's circles and rites of passage, then you can find out more about joining Sanctum with me. That is releasing in February. It'll be towards the end of February. So if you would like to know more, you can certainly DM me, reach out to me, email me, or you can find out more at julietenner.love.
Remember to nourish the woman, to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
Thank you so much for listening. We literally couldn't do this without you. Please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively into your life, then head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper.
And if you feel like giving back a little to this free content, please rate us on iTunes or Facebook, all of which helps the podcast reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul.